Pedir paz de planar salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
And a second salawat for Abdullah wa Habibullah Muhammad al-Mustafa.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
And a third salawat for Asadullah al-Ghalib Ali ibn Abi Talib Amir al-Mu'mineen.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
And a final salawat for Qa'im al-Mahdi.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So when they ride in the ships, they call upon Allah, being sincerely obedient to Him. But when He brings them safe to the land, they associate others with Him. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Tonight's discussion is going to revolve around the topic of confidence and being proud of the faith that we carry. So how can we carry ourselves with confidence and represent our faith with pride? So this is what we're going to be discussed tonight. So inshallah, there's no need for us to carry ourselves as apologetic Muslims. Why be apologetic? What have we done that in turn causes us to be apologetic? Because some extremist somewhere in the world commits some act of violence who he does not represent me in order for me to be apologetic towards him, nor do I represent him in order to apologize for him. And he himself, if he knew I was apologizing, he wouldn't want it. So this is, and even outside of that fact, the majority of the crimes are, the people that suffer from these crimes, the majority of them are who? They're Muslims. They're people of Iraq, Pakistan, Lebanon. The people that suffer the most due to these crimes of these extremists or radicals is Muslims, they themselves, outside of just the Shia. People of other madhabs and other Sunnah schools, they themselves are a victim to this form of radical Islam. And what's amazing is we apologize to governments who they themselves support these extremists. So think of how backward that way of thinking is. So we're going to try to understand this and see where this takes us tonight. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Because when we look at the companions and in Karbala, were they timid in their belief? Were they shy in their belief? Were they scared about representing and being proud of who they are? No, it's the exact opposite. When Qasim comes out, what does he say? When Ali Akbar comes out, what does he say? They all pray, they all say who they are and the son of who they are and where they come from. With pride. Not shaky, not nervous. They're standing there in front of the Hakuma of their time, but they have pride in where they're from and who they are. So Imam al-Sajjad, when he comes out and he stands in front of who? Yazid al-Sham, what does he come and say? Whoever knows me, look, he's telling people who they are. Us, we have to tell people, I'm Muslim, I'm Shia, that's not life, that's not a joke. So Imam al-Sajjad, when he goes and he stands in front of Yazidi, what does he come and say? Whoever knows me, and who doesn't know me, this is who I am. And he continues from there. I am the son of Mecca and Mina, I am the son of Zamzam and Safar, and he goes on, etc., etc. I am the son of them whom Allah revealed what He revealed. I am the son of Muhammad al-Mustafa. I am the son of Ali al-Murtada. Where's the shyness here? Where is he nervous here? Where is he timid here? He's standing in front of the government at this time, but he's representing who he is. I am the son of the one who fought against the creatures until they said, La ilaha illallah. I am the one who struck the enemies with the two swords before Allah's Prophet. I am the one who stabbed them with the two spears. I'm the son of the man who migrated twice and pledged the two allegiance and prayed the both Kaabas and fought against the disbelievers in Badr and Hunayn. Where the nervousness here? Why do we have to be scared to represent who we are and what our history is? Who is he? He is Ali, the son of Hussein, the son of Ali. And in the end, he ends that khutbah by saying, I am the son of Fatima, Sayyid al-Nisa al-Alameen. What I want to understand here is, look at the courage he has. Right? Look at the courage and the confidence he carries. The shaja'ah he possesses. Not, what's your name, brother? No, your name is Muhammad. What's your brother? Your name is Ali. And say it with pride, your name is Ali. Your pride, your name is Muhammad. Why would you go and be scared and, oh, he might this. Who cares if he might or might not? You're Muhammad. Your name is Ali. Your name is Hassan. Your name is Hussein. Why would you want to go and belittle yourself in front of this person by being afraid, what's the outcome? Will I get this? Will I get that? So where is our strength? And do we consider ourselves a joke? Do you consider ourselves a joke? Are we not men? Are we something light to be played with? Do we not have ghira over who we are? To be so shaky and so nervous in front of whoever asks us, where are you from? Oh, what's your name? My name is this. Say it. He says, I am Ali, the son of Hussein, the son of Ali. Be proud of who you are and say it with pride, say it with strength, and say it with confidence. If anything, they should be nervous about telling them who they are instead of you being nervous telling them who you are. It should be the opposite, if anything. Sallu ala Muhammad. The very minimum and the greatest thing is who you are, the Shia of Ali. Imagine that. This is who you are. You are the Shia of Ali ibn Abi Talib. What a powerful person you are. What a strong person you are. You are the Shia of Ali. You are made from the clay of the Rasul and his Wali. This is who you are. This is who we try to be. No need to be apologetic and no need to be scared and afraid. Because the people we were created from, they were neither. They were men of confidence and power and strength. Sallu ala Muhammad. Or are we as Sayyidah Zainab describes? Now we have to ask ourselves this. When she stands in front of the people of Kufa after leaving Karbala, what does she come and say as she stands in front of all of them? She says, you only adopt faith when it suits your lifestyle. Look at this word of genius right here on its own. You only adopt faith when it suits your lifestyle. So when it's good to be religious, I will be. But when it doesn't work to my advantage, then I'm Mo again, or Al. So when I go to ziyarah, when I want to get married, I'm Ali kaza kaza. But when I'm sitting in front of people, no, then I'm Al. When I want to be viewed as religious, that's when I want to go to Hajj, or I want to go to ziyarah, or I want to try to get married, that's when I pull out the religious card. But when I want to open business or something, no, this is when I have to change my name now. Why? But when we have to make a stand and face some difficulty, at this point now we back off and we no longer want to be religious. Is this the reality of who we are? And this is what we have to ask ourselves when Sayyidah Zainab speaks to the people of Kufa and she says this. You only adopt faith when it suits your lifestyle. But we should adopt faith in all circumstances. And yet what do we always say? In the A'mal for Ashura, what do we always say? What do we always recite? Ya laytani kunna ma'akum wa nafuda fawdan azima, right? Oh, we wish we were a part of you so we'd achieve the great success. But how are you going to be with them if sometimes on and sometimes off? Ramadan on, Muharram on, the rest of the year not on. But you read the A'mal of Ashura, we're always saying, oh, we wish we were with you so we can have achieved that great victory. Right? But how is that the reality of our actions? For example, We always ask for the hastening of Imam al-Zaman. We always ask. But are we full year Muslims? We always say La ilaha illallah. Do we practice La ilaha illallah all year round? Or do we only say La ilaha illallah when we come to the Husseiniyya, for example? Is our tongue always saying, there's a beautiful story that comes to mind that I've shared before. There was a man and another man, they came met somewhere outside of Transjordan. And here at this point, they started talking about Safir. This was decades, if not hundreds of years after the Imam have left. And only Imam al-Zaman is the Imam of the time. And they come to notice, one is the Mawali towards Imam Ali. The other is the supporter of Muawiyah. So they start bickering. Here they say, now me and you will fight. So at this point, the supporter of Muawiyah strikes the supporter of Imam Ali. Here, the other one leaves. After some time passes, a man comes on a horse with the head of the supporter of Muawiyah. And he looks at the other and he says, this was the man that struck you. And that hit you got on your head, when anyone asks you what it is, say you got that in the battle of Safin. And that man was Imam al-Zaman. So imagine that. That man, that strike on his head, Imam al-Zaman says, when anyone asks you about this strike, say you got it in Safin. But it was decades, if not centuries after Safin. And that same stance can be made today. And is made today. And is made today. And yet, I start off with, so these oaths, La ilaha illallah, what does the Quran come and tell us? Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 225. Allah does not call you account to the vain oaths you make with your tongue, but He calls you to account for what you earned with your hearts. So we could say, oh, Imam al-Zaman hasten. But Allah says, no, we do not take account for the vain oaths from your tongue. Another verse, they say with their tongue what is not in their hearts. We have to protect ourselves from being of this type. And inshallah, always work on ourselves to be confident and powerful Muslims in this community and in this society. And represent ourselves with that. Not, shaky, nervous. Sallu ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Because a faith as beautiful as ours, as rich as ours in literature, in heart, in spirituality, in history, needs to be practiced confidently. Needs to be practiced confidently. One of my heroes, and a person who I highly admire, and a person who I would have loved to have met, Malcolm X. Because Malcolm X was a man. And Malcolm X was straight. What does he come and say? One time he's sitting in front of his congregation, the black Muslims, black African American Muslims, and once he was asked, why do you preach hate? Because his stances were very strong, and he was seen as negative, maybe suited for the time. But he comes in and says, why? When he's asked, why do you preach hate? What does he come to say? He looks at his congregation. He's not talking to the people that he considered enemies. He looks at his congregation, he says, people say, I teach hate? He comes and he says, but who taught you to hate yourselves? Who taught us to hate ourselves as Muslims? Look what he says to his congregation. Who taught you to hate yourselves? Whether it's the color of your skin, whether your hair, whether your eyes, who taught you to hate what God has given you? Because a lot of the people of his congregation, they would want to straighten their hair, they want to bleach their skin. And this applies to us today as Muslims. We at times act as if we hate ourselves and are shy and embarrassed of who we are. And for example, the point that Sallallahu Muhammad wa Muhammad. And that connection is very real today. A lot of times we'll be embarrassed to say where we're from, as I was mentioning earlier, because we're trying to impress whoever or whichever circle we're sitting in front of. And I get amazed with other minority groups in Canada. You think it's simple for a person who's a Sikh to petition in order to wear a dagger underneath his clothing? You think that's easy for him? But he does it with conviction because he has strength. You think it's easy for him to wear a turban? Me just wearing regular clothes, mate. You think it's easy for a Buddhist monk to walk around in his orange outfit? But they have strength in their faith. And alhamdulillah, we live in a country that has afforded us the opportunity to practice our faith openly. And with that, we're still nervous. Imagine if we were somewhere else. You know, I have during Muharram, I gave a lecture and they posted it on YouTube. And my cousin saw it. He works out of somewhere in the Khalij. And he comes and he says, "You're so lucky. I wish I had the opportunity to serve these majalis." He wishes to have the opportunity to serve these majalis, and yet us, we're scared to be a part of these majalis. In his mind, he hopes that he could have been a part of them, and he can't, because of the political circumstance of that part of the world when it comes to these majalis. And yet, at times, we find ourselves so scared about pleasing a country which, alhamdulillah, is not asking for it. Myself, when I go to a border, or when I have to go get work, I'm more worried about having an Arab border guard, or a Pakistani border guard, who's going to try to prove he's more Canadian than the Canadian next to him. You know what? He gets it. Look what I'm going to do to this guy. To try to prove to his friend next, I'm more Canadian than you. Look, I'm going to bug this guy. First, the Canadian guy who's a native to this country is not going to be impressed by that. And he's like, that's not who I am in the first place. Who are you trying to outdo? And he won't respect the fact that you're being fake, and you're not being genuine, and you're not being real. Be honest to who you are. That's what's admired and that's what's respected. Surah 4, what does it come and say? Surah An-Nisa, verse 139. Those who take the unbelievers for guardians rather than believers, do they seek honor from them? Then honor is surely from Allah. Who are we trying to seek honor from? That we were bent over for. Who are we trying? Those who take unbelievers for guardians rather than believers. Do you seek honor from them? No. Honor is surely just for Allah. There's no need for any of us to seek honor from anyone else other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the owner of all honor. So why do we sacrifice the Sharia of Allah to receive the honors of others? And back to Sayyidah Zainab's speech in front of the Kufrins, what does she continue to say? I first quoted what she said. You only adopt faith when it suits your lifestyle. Then she continues. And she tells the people of Kufa what? You are averse to righteousness, but submissive to others like slaves. Look at the hikmah behind her words here. How beautiful they are. You are averse to righteousness, but you are submissive to others as slaves. Because they're trying to please others. Did not point alone is worth so much thought. And I started the verse by saying what? The lecture by what verse? In Surah Ankabut, verse 65 to 67. 65-66. So when they ride in the ships, they call upon Allah, being sincerely obedient to Him, right? But when He brings them to safety, they associate others with Him. They associate others with Him. What does Sayyidah Zainab say? They're submissive like slave to others. They're submissive like slave to others. So unfortunately, a lot of us are like this. When it's good, we don't need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when it's bad and we need to reach the shore of safety, then we call Allah. You know what that is? A bad person and a bad friend. We treat Allah like that. Do anybody have a friend, a brother, a cousin? When times are good, he doesn't call you. When something good happens, he doesn't need you. But when it's bad and he's sad or he's alone or he's desperate or now his wife left him, now he's back. But where were you before? And us, we're like that with Allah. Imagine that. When Allah is good with us, we ignore Him. We only go back to Him as if we're trying to take advantage of Allah. As if we're in a position to take advantage of Allah. And the saddest part is we don't even understand that we need Allah in times of good And we also need Allah in times of bad. But this lack of recognition of knowing what Allah is what's sad. And we treat Allah as a bad friend. That person you don't like because he just wants to take advantage of you, that's how we do it with Allah. We just try to take advantage of Allah when we need Him. Look at that relationship. And then we say, oh Allah, I asked for this, I asked for that, but my Hajj has not answered. You know, Imam Musa al-Qadhim says it's something so beautiful. If you take anything from this lecture, you take this one hadith. So I want everyone to focus on this. You take anything, you take this one hadith. Imam Musa al-Qadhim is asked what? O son of the Prophet, we pray, but our prayers are not answered. Look what the Imam so beautifully answers. Do you know him who you approach for granting your wishes? Do you know him of who you asking your wishes from? You're doing dua, but you didn't know him in times of good. And in times of good, you also needed him. So do you know that of whom you are granting, you're asking your wishes of? So we need to be aware of Allah all season, not just when it suits our lifestyle. That one is just good. But on campuses, in schools, in our works, in our neighborhoods, and we have to represent this in the best of ways. And in a confident, non-shaky, non-hesitant way. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala. Going back to Malcolm X. And back in the day, when he describes this, he says there was two types of slaves. Two types of slaves. He says there was the house slave. He used a different word. I can't say the other word. He says there was a house slave and a field slave. Two kind of black people. The house slave and the field slave. He says the house slave ate well, slept in the master's house, dressed in the master's clothes. He loved the master. He associated his well-being with that of his master's. He'd say, we hungry, boss? Are we sick, boss? Are we... He was that connected to his master. And Malcolm says, same thing applies today. We still have a bunch of house slaves. In which sense? For example, from my community, and I'm sure from your community, I'm sure not in this Majlis, and these people here, Alhamdulillah, me, I'm the only Pakistani in this area. Or me, my kid, all his kids are just white. Or my kid, he doesn't speak Urdu, he doesn't speak Arabic. All his friends is Steve, Tom, and Bill. How is that a source of being proud? Where's the pride in thinking you disassociate yourself from the community? You think you're better than the community you're from? You think you're better than the history you're part of? You're nothing but a house slave. That's it. We're not saying to segregate, no. But don't think you're better when I'm the only Lebanese or the only Pakistani or the only Iraqi that works here. It's just me. As if it's a source of pride here. Why are you so proud of? What's the big deal? And obviously, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala. And I made this point earlier. People around the world, they're dying in these Hussainiyat. And for Arba'in, there'll be explosions to be a part of these majalis. And I know, for example, members of our community, he won't have an issue with his son going to illicit places, but he says he can't go to a majlis because thesis is watching him. He'll lose his job. What are our priorities? And this doesn't happen with us here, but this exists within community members. And this message has to be passed to them and convince them otherwise. In order to help others, in order to help ourselves and to help our stance here, not to be weak, but we have to be brave. And because I said earlier what? We are the Shia of Ali. And you know, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Because on this point, going back to who we are and pleasing others, Imam Hussein also says in Karbala, what does he come and say? Damned are the people who anger the Creator in order to please the creature. So, do we do that? Damned are the people who anger the Creator in order to please the creature. We don't want to be of these people. We want to be proud of this faith, and we want to be strong and have strength in this faith. This is the whole message I want to push forward tonight. And you know, a story comes to mind I've shared with some of the brothers here. I was on a trip. I had to visit a friend. I visited a friend in the Caribbean area near Venezuela. And a girl came to shake my hand. And when I'm speaking to myself because I know it's hard sometimes to be strong. She comes to shake my hand, and I told her, I'm sick. You know, we say we're sick, or I just coughed, or I just cut my finger. We come up with excuses. She says, okay, no problem. And then another guy came. He went to shake my hand. What did I do? I shook his hand. So she looked at my friend. She knows him. She's like, why did he shake his hand, but he didn't shake my hand? He's like, this guy, he's crazy, first of all. You know what I mean? He says, this guy, he doesn't shake hands with women. He's Muslim, it's against his faith. He's Muslim himself. So she looks at me, and she says, what's wrong with you? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, she said this exactly. If you're Muslim, then just say it. And I'll respect it, rather than you being fake and lying. I thought that was, she's like, literally she said, be a man, say who you are, and I respect that. She's like, me, I'm Jehovah's Witness. You think I'm scared of you and I won't tell you what I am? Straight. I am Muslim. I can't shake your hand. Very simple. Whether they accept it or not, we don't want to be the ones that are damned in order to please the creature rather than the Creator. Right? And another great story comes to mind. This also Rastafarian. You know, I never knew much about them. But you know, there are a lot of Rastafarians. They're a branch of Christianity. And their women actually wear hijab. Full out hijab with the wide and everything else. And one was asked, why do you, because you know they have the long hair, right brothers? You guys know they have the long hair. And they asked him, why do you have the long hair? He comes and he said, he's like you know like a preacher man? They wear the tunic. So they know he's a preacher, he's a priest. He's like me, I'm a Rastafarian, and I want to be known as a Rasta. He's like, you can be a Rastafarian and cut your hair and shave your beard. But I don't want to be like them. I want to be known, this is what I am. So us Muslims, oh, I'm Muslim, I shave my beard. But how could look at the conviction he has in his faith. You know what he continues to say? He's like, I'm a lion. I'm dread. I don't fear and crawl for no man. Look at the power he has in his belief system. I don't creep and I don't crawl for no man. I will never shave my beard or cut my hair for any job. And I looked at him and I said, I respect this man. I respect him because of the conviction and the strength and the power he has in his belief and the discipline he has in his belief. A brother from one of our clubs, remember Brother Khulul? We came and he asked him, what did Ahlul Bayt do for you? He became Shia. He comes and he says, Ahlul Bayt, they made me into a superhuman. I thought, what a funny term. What do you mean by superhuman? It's like I'm like Superman walking around with Ahlul Bayt. The knowledge they gave me has made me a superhuman. How? He's like, this person was incarcerated. He was in jail. He's like, in jail, those same people that would want to beat me up and rip me off, when I started practicing the akhlaq of Rasulullah, those same people loved me and protected me. I became superhuman with the Sharia. Not super scared and super flimsy and super wishy-washy, but a man of pride. Sallu ala Muhammad. A second salawat. Why be pride? Why be proud? Why have confidence? Because like I said, we are the Shia of Ali. And who is Ali? Who is Ali? We are the Shias of Asadullah, right? Should we not have this pride? To give some stories of why we should be proud to call him our master. And a story we've all come very familiar. In the story of Khandaq, in the Battle of Khandaq, we're all familiar with what happened. Amr ibn Abd Wud comes out and he continues to challenge the Muslimin. He continues to challenge and challenge and challenge. And he said, who will answer the call of the Prophet? And the Prophet asked. Imam Ali rises. He asks again. Imam Ali rises. When he says who? What does Amr come and say at this point? Amr comes and says, O Muslims, where is your heaven that you will go to after your death? And where is the hell that I will go that will be my destiny? Come, either go to heaven or consign me to hell. And then he comes and says, my voice has gone sore from shouting at you. Look what Amr, how he's challenging the Muslimin. He says, my voice has become sore from challenging you. He's making a mockery of Islam. Imam Ali gets up again. And the reason the Prophet didn't tell Imam Ali to go fight at the first time, why? Because so the other people around him won't say, we would have fought, but Imam Ali fought. No, they have few chances now. You see the point that's made here? Because if Imam Ali went, I'll fight, the Prophet says, go fight. Later in history, they'll say, we would have fought, but Imam Ali jumped right away. So the Prophet gave them 3 opportunities, yet they all stayed seated. Okay. So here, the Imam says what again? If he is Amr, then let it be known, I am Ali ibn Abi Talib. Once again, confidence. I am Ali ibn Abi Talib. And then the Prophet dressed up Ali, he put his helmet on, the armor on, he gave him Dhul-Fiqar and he put him on his bridle. And then, as he enters the battlefield, the Prophet comes and says what? Total faith against total kufr. Total faith against total kufr. And when they both stood facing each other, according to the practice of that time, Ali ibn Talib comes in your army, is there not anyone to fight me other than you? Because Amr was known for his tajaa. He says, is there not anyone in your army other than you to fight me? Imam Ali tells him, because he says, you are the son of Abu Talib, and he was my friend, and I do not want to kill a person of my friend. But what does Imam Ali come reply to him? But I want to kill you. Imam Ali says, I want to kill you. Why? And what's amazing about Amr is, why does he not want to fight Imam Ali? Do you think it's because of the respect for Abu Talib? No, it's because he's scared to fight Imam Ali. And he uses this as an excuse to try to get out of that battle. As an excuse to get out of that battle. And then here, at this point, oh Amr, he asks him, you have 3 favors. Accept Islam? He says no. He says leave the battlefield. He says leaving the battlefield is only for women. And now he says the last option is we fight. Here Amr. And he asked him to get off his horse. So Amr, when he got off his horse, as a psychological battle, he took out his sword and he cut his horse's leg. Either I die here or you die here. No one leaves this arena now. Look at the stance taken by Amr. It's not a joke. And this was a man known to fight hundreds and fight with the lions. You think it's a light point that Amr struck Imam Ali one time? Imagine the strength he had. In a one-on-one battle, Amr was so powerful, he was able to hit the Imam. What kind of warrior did the Imam stand in front of them? Imagine that type, that caliber of fighting, that he was able to strike the Imam once. So he gets off that horse, and he cuts its leg, and it's either you or me. No one leaves now. And here at this point, the dust lifts off the ground. All you hear is strikes back and forth. At one point, the Imam is struck on his head. And then when he goes for another blow, he moves aside and he takes off his legs. Here Amr sits on the ground. The Imam sits on top of his chest. And all familiar what happened here. He goes to cut off his head. But Amr spits in his face. We're talking about pride, right? He walks away because the Prophet later says, that strike of Ali is greater than the worship of all jinn and man from the beginning of time to the end of time. One strike. Why? Because he walked away. Because when he spat in his face, he was upset. Maybe for himself. When he collected himself and he came back and he cut off his head, he did it for Allah. That act was for Allah. Not because he was fa'at. Not because he was fa'at. So here, when he sits on top, takbir is heard, his head is taken. The hadith say when Imam Ali came through the unsettling dust, in one hand was the sword drenched in blood. In the other hand was Amr's head. And here, the hadith say he came out walking like a valiant tiger. Look at the confidence. Look at the strength. And the companions come and tell the Prophet, seeing Ali in this manner, he is walking with pride on that day. They're trying to knock Imam Ali. The Prophet comes and answers and says, in the arena of battle, Allah likes this attitude. So therefore, one blow of Ali on the day of Khandaq is greater than the prayers of all jinn and all men. That one act of Ali. And that one stance of strength. Of strength and confidence. Not flimsy, not shaky. And here to continue, what does the sister of Amr come and say? Saying that he left the jewels, it was known to steal the jewels. He didn't take the jewels, he left them. When she comes and she sees her family jewels still sitting on the shield of Amr, she comes and says what? If Amr's killer was anyone other than Ali, I would have cried for him forever. But his killer is one who has no faults, and his father is known as the chief of Mecca. Even she sends praises to Abu Talib. Even she sends praises to Abu Talib. This is who we're Shia of. This is who we follow. This is our master. This is our Imam. So why are we scared? And why do we have no confidence? Why are we nervous? Why are we tentative? Why are we flimsy? Why are we timid? Why? No. This is our leader here. Give me any leader greater than this leader. Find me anyone better than him. Because people are proud. This is my team. I'm a Sens fan. I'm a Habs fan. I'm a Barca fan. I'm a Real fan. I'm an Argentina fan. I'm a Bulls fan. You take pride in this? Take pride in Ali. Why take pride in anything else? Why? No one has any shame in telling the whole world he's a Sens fan. Yet he becomes nervous when he tells the people he is the follower of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Sallu ala Muhammad. For the younger brothers, now we go to Khaybar. We're all familiar with these stories, but it's good to hear these stories. In Khaybar, what happens here? Abu Bakr, the first one, he takes the standard, he comes back. The second one takes the standard, and he comes back. Unable to capture the fort of Khaybar. Here, the Prophet comes and says, by Allah, tomorrow I'll give the standard to a man who loves Allah and His Messenger, and whom Allah and His Messenger love. One who is constant in assault and does not flee. One who will stand firm and will not return without victory. He will get, now everyone is in anticipation. Who is this man? Who's going to get this flag? Everyone wants this flag. Everyone wants this flag. I made this point. I'm going to make it here tonight. The brothers will enjoy it. Here, he comes out and he gives what? To the Prophet, to Imam Ali. His eyes were sore. So with saliva, he healed him. And with that saliva, he saved. And with that saliva, he was able to lift the fort of Khaybar. Right? With that saliva. Now let me ask you this. If the saliva saved Islam in Khaybar, and if that saliva lifted the door of Khaybar and struck Marhab, what happened when the Prophet gave Ali Zahra? If the saliva of the Prophet got the door of Khaybar up, then when he gave him Zahra, what happened? Then when he gave him Zahra, what would have happened? And here he gives the standard to who? Imam Ali. And he charges towards the front of the fort. A rabbi who comes and sees him was watching, says, he looks at the standard bearer, he says, who are you? Again, I am Ali ibn Abi Talib. Says who he is. Says his father's name. With confidence. The rabbi shouted, O people, by the Torah you will be defeated by this man. he will not leave this battle without winning. This rabbi recognized that. The first brother of Marhab comes up, his name is Harith. When Imam Ali sees him, with one blow he strikes him. And then Marhab at this point goes to defend his brother. But he didn't go out in any manner. He went then he proceeded toward him and killed him with one stroke. And Marhab was informed, he went and rushed out to save his brother. It said that Marhab was the strongest and tallest and fiercest amongst the warriors of Khaybar. And that day he was armed twice over. He was armed wearing double armor and 2 swords dangling from his side and 2 helmets and a turban on top of his helmet. Because he knew he was entering battle with. It was said only you can see a sliver of his eyes as he was protected from head to toe with armor. That's the way he entered this battle to avenge the killing of his brother. At this point, Imam Ali goes and with one strike, he takes that Dulfikar with such a forceful blow, Marhab's head is cut. Some ahadith say to his throat, others to his thigh, others say he was split into 2. One strike. And at this point, Imam Ali ﷺ, a person comes and he hits his shield and is taken as booty of war. And at this point, Imam Ali jumps over and lifts the door of Khaybar and uses that as his shield. And then he uses this door as his shield. He used it as a bridge, but it wasn't even long enough for the trench. A part of it he had to lift with his fingers, and as the Muslim army rode across that trench. This is who we are Shia of. So why, again, do I ask, be timid. Younger brothers, be proud of who you are. And Superman and Batman and all of them, they're good. Imam Ali knows that he's better. Revere and respect this man and pride yourself on this character. And even the person who commits zina and adultery goes towards Imam Ali for purification. A man comes and commits the crime of zina. He goes towards Imam Ali and he says, I committed zina. Imam Ali, what happens here? He turns his face. He says it again. He turns his face. Imam Ali is just trying to give him a way out. The man continued to say it. Here at this point, Imam Ali comes and asks him, why are you saying this? The man replies, for purification of my sin. The Imam replies to him, why people don't they hide their sins as Allah hides it for them? Why don't people hide their sins as Allah hides it for them? Imam Ali says, if you continue to say you committed this crime, I'm going to have to give you your punishment. The man said it again. Imam Ali says, now I'll go find if you have sound mental state, if you're mentally healthy. Continually looking for a way to let this man do tawbah and go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The man said it again. The Imam did a check on his mental state. He found he was sound in health. And at this point, he takes him to the square. He says, O people of Kufa, you have collected and come here to witness this man be stoned. If none of you have committed a crime worth stoning, then don't cast that stone. Who was left? Imam Ali, Imam Hassan and Hussein. At this point, when Imam Ali cast that first big stone, and then they continued to throw small stones with the people watching. And here, when he came back, he took off the big stone and he took that man's body, he brought it back to that mosque, and he prayed Salat al-Mayyit on it. And the people came and asked him, why did you not give that man ghusl? Why did you not give him ghusl al-Mayyit? The Imam replies, because his submissiveness he manifested while being stoned gave him a bath that purified his sin, that he did not need ghusl al-Mayyit. That ghusl al-Mayyit, he did not need it because he was bad from the rocks. He was showered with the rocks. And his submissiveness to this punishment was kafi. With the punishment of Ali is generosity. Look at that. That's who your Mawla is. That's who. With his punishment, there's love. A third story, and this is a famous story. A man by the name of Aswad, he goes into the mosque of Kufa and people take him in and say he committed a crime. He's a thief. Imam Ali will ask him, did you commit this crime? He says yes. Imam Ali says, you know what you're saying? He says yes. Imam Ali at this point says, now I'll have to punish you. And the crime and the punishment was committed. The had was done. His hand was cut. And here as he's leaving the mosque, a man comes and says, what happened to your hand? Right? A man comes and says, what happened to your hand? And then this man comes and says, my right hand was cut by the master of successors. The Imam of the people with shining foreheads. The one who cut my hand is the master of the Mu'mineen, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the master of the religion, and who is the Qibla of the Arifin, the intercessor of the Day of Judgment. He continues to praise the man that cut his hand on and on for pages. Some of the points he says, my hand was cut by the one who is Muz'ar al-Ajaib, right? My hand was the one who was the one miraculous with miracles. My hand was cut by the Hashimi, Makki, Madini, Talibi, Hijazi, Taki, Naki, Wasi. He continues to praise him by saying, my hand was cut by the one who is the master of Jibreel, who is Asadullah. My hand was cut by the honor of Mecca. Look at here, my hand was cut by the honor of Mecca. When Abbas, he stands on the Kaaba before leaving towards Karbala, he says, by the father of the one who blessed this house. Look what Abbas says. He stands on that Kaaba. He says, all praise be to Allah who honored this house with the father of that man. This man says, my hand was cut by the one who gave honor to Mecca and slept in the bed of the Prophet and removed the door of Khaybar. My hand was cut by the one who said, ask me before you lose me. My hand was cut by the greatest news and Sirat al-Mustaqim. My hand was cut by the one who is the Nur of the East and the West. He is the wrath of Allah. My hand was cut by Ali ibn Abi Talib. This is some points of the pages of praises he sends towards Imam Ali. After he was cut, this man, he goes back to the Imam. He tells him what happens. The Imam looks at him and he tells him, Hassan, go bring me Aswad. He goes, he brings him. Imam Ali comes and asks him, why did you say what you said? He says, I swear by Allah, you rightly cut my hand and freed me from the punishment of the Day of Judgment. In his punishment there's rahmah. He's like, you cut my hand to free me. And he said, how can I not praise him when his love is mixed with my blood and flesh? How can I not praise him when his blood is mixed in with my blood and flesh? And here at this point, Imam Ali comes and says, have I not told you there are such a people, if we were to cut them into pieces with our swords, their love for us will increase. And there are such a people, if we feed them the pure honey, their hatred for us will increase. He takes this man's hand, and the master of miracles returns it. This is who we're the Shia of. This is who we take our confidence from and our pride from. This is why we're not shaky. Sallu ala Muhammad. And where was that strength better displayed than in Karbala? Where was that strength better displayed than in Karbala? I'd like to share with you a poem that I've written. Some of the brothers heard it, but they'll hear it again. Because Arba'in is coming up, and I would like you guys to hear this with me, inshallah. It's called Hajj of Hussein. Here, what's said? The Imam left the beauty of Mecca to enter the Bala of Karbala, leaving the house of the Rahman and entering into the heart of the Rahim, the Kaaba of Islam tears and sends salam to the holy Imam as he leaves Mecca. Rasul's kalam. The ziyarat of Hussein is greater than 70,000 Hajj. Looking into history, let's see why this is thus. People claim Hussein left Hajj for Iraq, while he left the Hajj of the white cloth pilgrims to enter the Hajj of Hussein, where people visit him in the millions. Quran preaches, when you go to Hajj, the Quran teaches us. Quran preaches, do not shave your heads for Hajj until the offering, being the goat, reaches the land of sacrifice. Do not shave your heads for Hajj until the offering, the goat, reaches the land of sacrifice. Hussein's land of sacrifice is Karbala. His offering is the neck of Ali al-Asghar, and the shaving of his head would not suffice, so instead he gave the head of Ali al-Akbar. Doing sa'i between al-Radi' and Zainab, and wudu with the blood of Asghar, knowing his ahram is of no kafan. the Hajj of Hussein, there is no ramal of shaitan, but instead the hurling of arrows on the son of Muhammad, the purely guided one. 1 month early on 10th al-Hijjah, the Kaaba rested in Mecca for all to glorify and see. The 10th of Muharram came, and here Abbas and the angels do tawaf around the head of Hussein. That pike raised high, making souls tear and eyes tear, so we all do ziyarah of that Qibla which bleeds. And now going to the sermon of Sayyidah Zainab in front of the people of Kufa, what does she come and say? She says, Kufans, you are admonable. Have you any idea how badly you broke the heart of the Prophet? Have you idea what blood you have spilled? Have you any idea what daughter you have abused? Have you any idea what sanctity you have violated? How you have committed a dreadful crime for which the heavens are about to burst. The crime is about to explode and the mountains are about to implode because of the heinous crime you committed. What does she say? Have you any idea what daughter of his you abused and what sanctity of his you violated? The women of the Prophet, what happened to them? When leaving Karbala, could you imagine the Prophet says, Ibrahim had ghira. I have more ghira than him. And his women were chained. And his women were paraded from city to city in chains. A man of the ghira of the Prophet and the ghira of Abbas. This is the situation of the daughters of Rasulullah now. This is the situation. And they said the little ones, when the chains were around their necks, because the older ladies were taller, they would have a hard time walking without pulling it off. What sanctity have you violated? And what women have you abused? And then the greatest bala have happened. We all have daughters and we all have nieces. This is on the household that zakat is haram. On the household that zakat is haram, a Syrian man, as they enter Sham, he comes and he says, what? Oh Yazid, I want to make her a maid. Can you imagine this bala on itself? While Abbas's head is looking at his niece, being offered to be made a maid. You ask Abbas, how did he bear that sight? Where are his arms to help Sayyidah Ruqayya at this point? As an offer is being made and Sayyidah Zainab defends her niece, and at this point that man is told to stop. How is this happening while Abbas is looking at his niece like this? What's going on to the soul of Abbas as he hears this being done to his niece? And then as they go towards Sham, and as they enter that version of Yazid, the women did not tell the girls and the children of the Rasulullah what happened to Imam Hussein. They wanted to protect them from this. And here at one night, Ruqayya, the 4-year-old, would ask, and she woke up crying, where is my father? Where is Ali al-Asghar? And here Yazid woke up by that voice and he says, who is this? Who's waking me up? After searching for the source, he says,